2/3 of our days are already over, and we have not practiced clarifying who we are. We waste our days in chasing satisfaction, so that even when called, we refuse to turn around. How regrettable. Dogen quotes an older teacher. In 13th-century China at Mount Tiantong, a monk called Lu from Qingyuanfu was serving as Tenzo. A Tenzo is the head cook at a Zen Buddhist monastery. One day after the noon meal, a young Japanese monk was walking to another building within the complex when he noticed Lu drying mushrooms in the sun in front of the Butsudan. He carried a bamboo stick, but had no hat on his head. The sun's rays beat down so harshly that the tiles along the walk burned one's feet. Lu worked hard and was covered with sweat. The young monk from Japan could not help but feel the work was too much of a strain for Lu. He approached Lu and asked him about his age. Lu replied that he was 68 years old. Then the young monk went on to ask him why he never used any assistance. Lu looked up and answered, "Other people are not me." "You are right," says the young monk. "I can see that your work is the activity of the Buddha Dharma. But why are you working so hard in this scorching sun?" Lu replied, "If I do not do it now, when else can I do it?" There was nothing else for the young monk to say. As he walked on along that passageway, he began to sense inwardly the true significance of the role of Tenzo. The young monk's name was Dogen Zenji, a Japanese Zen Buddhist monk, writer, poet, philosopher, and founder of the Soto school of Zen in Japan. He had come to China searching for enlightenment, sitting under famous masters, studying difficult texts. The young Dogen was looking for something extraordinary, and on that hot afternoon, he found it not in a temple or sutra, but in a sweating old Tenzo drying mushrooms. Years later, Dogen would write that those two sentences, "Other people are not me," and "If I do not do it now, when else can I do it?" contained the entire teaching of the Buddha. Today, we live in a world that has forgotten what Lu, the old Tenzo, understood. We are told that our lives matter only when something extraordinary is happening, a milestone, a peak experience worth posting, and the ordinary day, the day that looks like every other day, becomes the enemy. There is a Japanese word for the ordinary, and for what it offers us when we stop running from it. The word is Heibon, and it is the antidote to almost everything wrong with how we live now. In Japanese, Heibon is written with two characters, ping-fan, meaning ordinary or common. Philosophy of Heibon describes the comfort of an ordinary day and tells us why the ordinary feels sacred. In Western philosophy, ordinary is almost an insult. To call a person ordinary is to say they are nothing special. But in the older Japanese Buddhist tradition, the ordinary is not an absence of meaning. It is where meaning lives. There is an old Zen saying, "Heijoshin kore michi," the ordinary mind is the way. For more than 1,000 years, this phrase has been the deepest teaching of Soto Zen, the school Dogen founded. Philosophy of Dogen says, everything you encounter is your life. The work of cooking a meal or drying mushrooms in the sun is the function of a settled life. And this is why Dogen was so moved by Lu, the old Tenzo. He was not waiting for a better time to dry mushrooms. He was not saving his attention for some future moment when his life would finally begin. The mushrooms in the sun were his life, and he treated them like it. This is why Dogen wrote down what he learned from old Lu in a short text called the Tenzo Kyōkun, How to Cook Your Life. In Tenzo Kyōkun, Dogen gives us 3 qualities of mind that turn an ordinary task into a meaningful life. He calls them the 3 minds: joyful mind, Kishin, parental mind, Roshin, and magnanimous mind, Daishin. Dogen writes, Roshin, or the parental mind, is the attitude of a parent. In the same way that a parent cares for an only child, keep the 3 treasures in your mind. A parent, irrespective of poverty or difficult circumstances, loves and raises a child with care. A parent protects the children from the cold and shades them from the hot sun with no concern for his or her own personal welfare. When you handle water, rice, or anything else, you must have the affectionate and caring concern of a parent raising a child. And this is exactly what Lu, the old cook, was doing with his mushrooms, handling them the way a parent handles a child. And the third is magnanimous mind. Dogen writes, magnanimous mind is like a mountain, stable and impartial. Having a magnanimous mind means being without prejudice and refusing to take sides. And at the end of the book, Dogen says, and I quote, "Whether you are the head of a temple, a senior monk or other officer, or simply an ordinary monk, do not forget the attitude behind living out your life with joy, having the deep concern of a parent, and carrying out all your activities with magnanimity." Almost 800 years after Dogen walked away from Lu, an American writer named Andy Couturier traveled deep into the mountains of southern Japan to spend time with a man who had quietly followed Dogen's wisdom in his own life. The man's name is Koichi Yamashita. Andy Couturier writes in his book, The Abundance of Less. Yamashita was a university professor in India with a PhD in Hindu philosophy. His dissertation, he tells me, was based on Sanskrit documents from the 2nd through 4th centuries. By every measure that Japanese society uses, Yamashita was a successful man. Then one day, Yamashita gave it up, came home to a small valley in Shikoku, and started growing rice. And now, Yamashita says, he finds most of his wisdom in the rice fields. Yamashita says, I would like to be an artist of farming, to achieve the same level of artistry and creation of beauty as does a novelist or a painter. When Couturier asked Yamashita about his old research, Yamashita laughed and said, in the end, I couldn't understand all that stuff. I gave up. Then he paused and said it more quietly. Yet, when I'm by myself, out in the rice fields, working with the plants, I am simply glad. Yamashita chose the ordinary on purpose and not as a compromise. And when Couturier asked Yamashita about modern life, Yamashita says, 200 years ago, it took a week to travel from Osaka to Tokyo. People would walk. There wasn't any other way. What that means is that people back then had that much time, that they could afford that time. Now, on the bullet train, it takes 3 hours. Everything is quicker, but we don't have that time anymore. Think about eating a meal, he adds. We might consider including all the time it takes to grow the vegetables, harvest, cook, and serve them to a table. The whole process may take hours. However, nowadays, it's possible to simply pop something in a microwave oven. It's done in a minute. Philosophy of Ordinary Living asks, what do you do with all that time that it took? Those hours? The answer is that you are busy, all the way up to that 1 minute before you throw that package into the microwave. Needless to say, that whole process is connected. You feel a sense of time. The process itself is life. Just popping something in the microwave, it doesn't give you a sense of life. When Couturier once asked Yamashita how he handles a year when his rice harvest fails, Yamashita said quietly, "It's not the thing that I want to eat, but the thing that I have available to eat. What I have now, that's what's for dinner." A 20th century Japanese Zen teacher named Kōshō Uchiyama, who spent his life simplifying Dogen's work for people, says we suffer in direct proportion to our fixation on our goals. The bigger the goal, the heavier the suffering. We chase money, status, and recognition. However, these things, Uchiyama says, disappear quickly, like foam on water. We are not unhappy because we lack things. We are unhappy because we have lost the ability to inhabit the ordinary life. The mushrooms in the burning sun were Lu's life. The rice fields are Yamashita's life. And now it's our turn to know. Whatever is in front of us is our life. Remember what Lu, the old Tenzo, said in the burning sun 800 years ago. Other people are not me. If I do not do it now, when else can I do it? That's all for today's video. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more empowering content. Thanks for watching,